Hello, welcome to the afternoon desk and happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. It is March 17th, 2026. And today, instead of doing a show episode, I'm going to react to Jennifer Welch and Pumps again of IHIP News because, oh my God, okay.
All right, I've grown really tired of seeing videos of the President of the United States with dementia, face planning, rambling, pathologically lying. But he is the President of the United States, and it's important to keep some of the lies that he's telling in the news cycle and define them as lies and not sane wash them as corporate media does. Here he is in the Oval Office, and he's just mystified, absolutely mystified that Iran is striking back. Play the clip.
You were talking about Iran a couple times today and what they did after Epic Fury began. You said they hit Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait. Nobody expected that. We were shocked. Are you surprised that nobody briefed you ahead of time that might be their retaliation?
Nobody, no. The greatest experts, nobody thought they were going to hit. They were, I wouldn't say friendly countries. They were like neutral. They were.
All right. I don't know anything about military strategy. I mean, nothing. But if somebody said, hey, Jennifer, here's the map, here's Iran, here's all these American military bases and embassies around, here's the United States on the other side. The United States and Israel attack Iran. Who do you think they attack back? It would be very obvious for me to deduce that they would hit the U.S. interests in the surrounding countries and hit Israel. This is stupidity on top of stupidity. He had a guy.
I want to pause there and just say, I would say it is not even near stupidity. It was calculated and planned. I would say it's the Epstein war, and that those bases likely traffic children. And he wanted to get away from this, no matter the cost to our lives, the same way, no matter the cost to the children's lives he traffics. The parents that lose their kids to his evil scheme, he is using human beings as currency. He thinks he can get away with it. But you're right, of course, those would be what would be hit. Could the Ayatollah have been threatening to reveal his plan? 4 days earlier, before the random attack, which he had started thinking about in July, it's noted, by Epstein in the Epstein Files and Steve Bannon. Could he have been doing that? The first thing he hit was a school of children. Then the rest is to cover that all up. Get all those bases. And all of those people that write to Epstein, they're always, including Prince Andrew, giving a traffic line. Watch where they're telling him they're traveling. Did they open schools in those places? Because they're so nice and caring to help the children. The good Christians. It's not stupidity. It's a cover-up. Read the fine print. Their travel plans. Okay, now we're going to react to the rest. We'll hear what they have to say.
Who would have briefed him on all of these things regarding Iran, but that guy got lumered and that guy got fired because this man sits around like a chatty Cathy on the phone talking to nuts all the time.
Well, and the past is prologue. When there have been conflicts in the Middle East, they go after U.S. properties in the Middle East. I'm like you, I don't know anything, but I know that. And it just shows that the incompetence built into a Secretary of Defense that is such a complete dipshit that this is what happens. Further, you hear reports that he was told and he ignored it. The bottom line is Trump doesn't give a shit.
Not a shit.
The only conclusion I can draw from all of this is he went in, he wanted to do it, he thought it made him cool and big, and Israel really wanted him to do it. So he was all in, and consequences are not something that he takes into account when he makes decisions.
Jen has a good point.
And here he is. I mean, stage 5 dementia, calling the governor of California the president of the United States. And I just want to remind everybody the meltdown, the wall-to-wall coverage, which if you're president of the United States, if you're Joe Biden, you signed up for the big boy seat and you're going to get big boy coverage. It's fascinating to me how much of collaborators of fascism mainstream corporate media has been. Here he is on one of his just rambling sundowner hour visits that he does with the press with utter
sundowner.
Play the clip.
The President of the United States, Gavin Newsom, admitted that he has learning disabilities, dyslexia, everything about him is dumb.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The President of the United States, Gavin Newsom. Do we need to go any further? Is it a shock that he calls dyslexia a disability when it's an adaptive model of the human brain? How about click languages in Africa? That sounds random, right? But if you can get there and understand that it's one of the most ancient forms of communication, sound, frequency, and vibration, and that they work with the elements of water, air, fire, earth. I'm talking about those ancient African tribes. You can see how dyslexia and reading that way would just be a neurodivergent. We'd see that as neurodivergency now. There's nothing stupid about it. The only thing sad, because I heard Gavin Newsom speaking about his book, was that he still carries shame from that because of men like this, whose vocabulary is limited to, and analysis is limited to, dumb. I have 3 teenage sons who have been living through this nightmare for the last 10 years or more, just like every single kid in this generation. Undoing everything we did for political correctness, understanding each other and ourselves, and growing in consciousness so that we be ready for new tech. He wants a $500 billion Stargate project to be understood and accepted and adopted by the people. AI on a mass scale. He's working with the most corrupt people in the space, Ellison, Altman, and someone else. Oh, Elon, co-president. Shame on us for not calling out co-president right away. But there we are. Here we are. I don't really care about Trump. I mean, he says it himself. He's not actually president. And I'm not too ashamed of my vote because, as Mark Twain says, if your vote mattered, they wouldn't let you have it. But we can keep our conversations moving along. We can insist that our kids don't use the same terminology because it makes them feel so bad about themselves. In this age of advanced tech, neurodivergency is a part of it. I believe in God, but you believe in whatever you want. Just know there's a higher power. And we should all be focused on learning about energy and transmutation and high mind. It was exciting. When I was prescribed yoga when I was 16. There wasn't a yoga studio around on Long Island. There really wasn't. And now they're everywhere, thank God. And in the schools, the kids were learning about mindfulness, breathing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. You can clear any emotion with one breath. I wish Mr. Trump would take the opportunity to clear his own mind. Not only does he sound impotent emotionally, but castrated mentally. This is what's running our country, covering up him and his weird friends. Because he insists on being in the media. Let's hear what Janice said.
So he refers to him President of the United States, which we all know he's the governor of California. He calls him Gavin Newsom, which sadly at this stage in the fascist takeover, Americans are not bothered by this. This has just become the norm.
Right, we get normalized.
He's just like a fourth grader. Everything about him is dumb. It's just, it's such a stupid person that says unthoughtful things, that is sitting there like a little toddler with his crayons and his trophies and his decorating projects and his art projects. And there are real life consequences.
We're in this together, guys.
Dehumanization that has happened under this regime is what bothers me the most, whether it be immigrants in the United States that have been wholly dehumanized, whether it be the Black population, which long before the Trump regime has been dehumanized with bipartisan efforts and with sanewashing from the media and by it.
Yes, but we had moved leaps and bounds where our kids were just noticing skin tone. Oh, she has freckles, he gets a tan, he's Black. It was not, now it is. Racism is unbelievable. I'd say he wants the camps because he wants to put everyone away that would vote against him. Oh, let's not put that past him. I should do an episode on that. We'll do an episode on that.
Reporting from the media. And now,
this is all allegedly my beliefs and opinions. Nothing is based in fact here. This is just my beliefs and opinions. If you want immunity, it's equal justice under the law. If you want immunity or you want to argue your First Amendment rights, you can only establish them for everyone in the same way. It gets tricky, right? It shouldn't, but it might.
The dehumanization of these girls that were killed in Iran. We have Palestinian family that was shot over the weekend at point blank range in the head by IDF soldiers. A 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a mother and father. Barely gets any coverage.
Wow.
So this overall just nihilism and dehumanization is one of the more troubling aspects of this fascist takeover for me personally.
No, I agree with that. And I just think it's so, calling people with dyslexia dumb. I mean, this is not the first time that he has picked on people with disabilities. Having dyslexia does not make you dumb. It's just so insulting. And I think about the parents of kids with dyslexia or people with dyslexia and how that probably really hurt them. And to be said by the President of the United States, he says a lot of things that are absolutely despicable, but he just simply does not care who he throws under the bus and picks on as long as he feels like he's strong.
Okay, and then this is pretty stunning. So apparently Trump's phone number, his cell phone number, is one of the most shared pieces of information in Washington, D.C. And he's kind of a little bit of a chatty Cathy. He loves to take phone calls, put people on speaker. He's in bed all night, eating in bed, talking on the phone. In the mornings, he's talking on the phone. And any journalist on the planet can get his number. So I believe the Daily Beast here is reporting the following. Trump doesn't need much of an excuse to drop everything and talk on the phone. Trump, 79 years old, derails important meetings to take reporters' calls about his war plan. A reporter from Semaphore said he sought out to get the president's private cell phone number, and he had it within 5 minutes. So in a world like 18 months ago, this type of thing would be top of the news story, how compromised national security is, that somebody has access to the president of the United States in this manner. And the ability for somebody to call this man and pretend there's somebody else is astronomically high. Also, this is all over Twitter, all over the news feed. So our adversaries can easily call this guy and just flatter him, tell him he has big muscles, tell him he's a great designer, tell him everybody thinks he's hot, country's hotter than it's ever been. And that person, whoever that anonymous person is or impersonator on the other line, could dog walk him to do a variety of things. And so this is pretty interesting right here. Trump claims, and I'm about to play this clip for you guys, that he's been chatting with a former president frequently who completely supports this quagmire, this illegal shit show he's gotten us into in Iran. Play the clip.
But they never had the chance. I never gave them the chance to use it. And other presidents should have done. I spoke to one of the former presidents who I actually like. I actually speak to some. I do like some people, be shocking. And he said, I wish I did what you did. Couldn't have done it. Other presidents, somebody should have done it. 47 years this went on. They call Iran the bully of the Middle East.
Okay, so some journalists fact-checked this because it's a pretty extraordinary claim that he is chatty Cathying with a former president, and the president said, I wish I would have bombed Iran. You know, like we even believe, even I think George W. Bush, who lied to get us into Iraq, who was dog-walked by Dick Cheney and all the neocons, which that was an absolute quagmire, war crime on top of war crime on top of war crime. I don't even think he would be envious of this. Pop up the fact check. Daniel Dale says aides to all 4 other living U.S. presidents tell CNN's Sam Waldenberg and Jeff Zeleny that they haven't spoken to Trump about Iran. Trump claimed today that a former president endorsed the war by telling him, I wish I did what you did. And clearly, now this is verifiably false.
Wow.
So we could deduce from this that some moron that can do a Bill Clinton voice dog walked him into this, or that he just made it up because he's a pathological liar. And I tend to lead with the latter. I think he makes up stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks we're the hottest country. Everybody thinks this about me.
I'm doing
and
tremendous.
This is a feature of his pathological lying, that if he brings in others into his lie,
triangulation,
validates
narcissism,
the veracity of the claim.
Yes.
And there was a world, again, 18 months ago, where all of these things were completely disqualifying. And I get to this stage in this where I see the stuff that he's doing and I see the stuff that he's saying. I know that little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson is not going to do a thing. I know that the Senate Majority Leader is not going to do a thing about this. I know that in general, Republicans in Congress are not going to do a thing about this. I do see MAGA influencers that are jumping off the Trump train as a means of survival. Their shape-shifting political ideology is more Darwinian than it is rooted in principle. And so this dementia duck here is doing all of these things. And MAGA is always going to be MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene has already started branding it. It was never about the man. It was always about the movement. And so they're already shifting to a party, a fascist, populist style party that's beyond him. So my thing goes, okay, I know what these people are going to do. What are the Democrats doing? Like, all of these videos that I've just played for you, that's just 10 minutes in the Oval. 10 minutes. And this guy is the one that's in charge of this war. The buck ultimately stops with him. And when I do not see a united opposition party to this, and instead I see a lot of these conversations that we cannot critique Israel, which is total bullshit, cult-like stuff. Israel deserves massive criticism. They are not above that. And that has nothing to do with American Jewish people or Jewish people worldwide.
100%.
Those in Israel that oppose the Benjamin Netanyahu government. It has nothing to do with that. But there's so many dangerous forces that want to conflate those two.
Right.
And the Democratic Party not having moral clarity on this is actually dog walking people that have major issues with Israel's role in the United States government. They're walking them away from a progressive Democratic Party and over to the Tucker Carlsons and the Marjorie Taylor Greens. The Democrats are getting outflanked by grifters on the right, and it is devastating to watch.
I was reading that there is some whispers in Congress that if the Democrats do take the House, that they are not guaranteeing that they would vote for Hakeem Jeffries because, quote unquote, he's not meeting the moment. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not, but at least there are whispers. And just one thing on Trump and his lying about the presidents. We know he lies. They had a lie tracker in the first term and they had to stop. We know that's all he does. And people voted for him because they don't care. What worries me about this, he is not tethered to reality.
Yes.
He has someone that sits and prints articles about how great he is. They tell him he's at 95% approval rating. They tell him all this shit. Nobody will speak the truth to him. And he is so delusional, and we are at war, and our country is on the brink of economic collapse, recession, all the things, and he does not live in reality.
Yeah.
All right, listener, there is nothing more terrifying on the planet than realizing.
Yes, I agree with them. And I hope that you were able to process all that I said earlier. Those are my opinions and beliefs. This is Happy St. Patrick's Day. There are not two parties. There's corporate greed and corporate lobbyists controlling the world right now. They're on the left and the right. Until we are strong enough to reject those, what are they? I guess they're buyouts of your vote? Because I don't know who stands for it. I just don't know enough. But I do know that the actions prove what the person is. Netanyahu is an expansionist. He's riddled in all kinds of crimes, allegedly. They never go investigated. And Jewish people just stand behind him because he's Jewish. Not all, but those voices don't get heard. It's interesting to see how when Israel was formed and by whom and how that's gone on. It's interesting to see how many Jewish people, in fear of their lives, sure, were actually used as agents against Jewish people to save their own lives. It's not about religion. It's about the man and the person, the character and the institution. Why would we fund that? I wouldn't. But somehow we are. There aren't two parties. You have to vote for the person. It just doesn't fucking matter. He should be out. We're waiting for midterms. People are losing their lives every day. We don't get the news. You see how he's on the phone, like Jen said, with media? Anyone in the press can get his because he wants to control the narrative. I'm not a doctor, But if you study any part of predatory behavior, if you've been a victim of predatory behavior, then you know once you're healed and you can see it, they always have to go first. Get on the phone, control the narrative, put other people down, label them as crazy, stupid, dumb, losers. They bully people into submission. It strikes a sane person's nervous system immediately as, oh my gosh. And they know that. That's why they do it. But that's all they have. We shouldn't be losing American lives like this to cover up the other crimes of American lives and cloak it in some kind of valiant effort against Iran. It was doing nothing to us. Suddenly they had a nuclear bomb. I thought they took out all of that capability last year. I think he's going for the oil. I wouldn't be surprised, allegedly, in my mind, if he put a big Trump flag there and called it Trump on. Another expansionist. Greenland, Canada. The Nazi salute. I mean, who's he working for? What's that prayer group all about? Mike Moses. We need to click back to, what's his name? Raging Cajun. I still haven't reacted to him. Raging Cajun has one of the best videos ever. It's on some kind of town called Parish. We'll go over that map together. I loved how he laid that out. Oh, because they're serious. These evangelicals. Jen Welch, watching her, helped me understand that. And Mike Moses. Ew. I just don't understand how anyone could like that guy. Like, how do you like that guy? Have you listened to him? They're also pompous and arrogant. Okay, that's enough for me. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe. Thank you. And whoever wrote that comment about me looking in the mirror, I like looking in the mirror, that's weird. Not to me, it's not. Adios. Bye-bye.